right, bro, you going on tour with me.
Damn.
Second year, I'm on tour with Bryan Callen. Second year, right? My third year, they're doing the Goldbergs, and now they got a spinoff show, Schooled. So I'm going back with Jeff Garland. I'm going back with Bryan Callen. They're fighting over me on the set. True story. I got a video, if I still have it. It's Bryan Callen, Jeff Garland, and my man from the Ladies Man. I can't even think of his name, the black guy. He's on the show. Oh, my God.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I mean? The black guy from
Dewey
Ladies
Cox is like, you never pay for drugs once.
Yes. What's my man's name? Yes, that's funny. Fuck, that's it. But anyway, it's a video of those three guys talking to me. And they're like, all right, see you soon. Bet. They fought over me, and then I had to make a choice. I was like, I love Jeff Garland, but I'm going to just go with Bryan Callen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Bryan Callen. So now we have a whole year. So I think we did like a 2-year run. And COVID hits. And he's on this popular podcast called Fighter and the Kids. Fighter and the Kids is a podcast where him and Brendan Schaub curate like their, just a silly whatever show, right? Bryan Callen gets in a controversy where they're taking down all the people that was in that clash, like Chris D'Elia, Bryan Callen, that group, that
Me Too movement.
the Me Too movement, yes. So that 4-letter word was attached to Bryan Callen, so he's canceling shows, and he can't be on the podcast. So Brendan Schaub saw we would do shows in COVID, and he saw how I was Bryan Callen's homie, and he had Chappelle Lacey. So he was like, let's just bring both of these black guys on the show and just see, like, what can we do? And he brought me on the show on Fighter and the Kids. I kind of replaced my mentor, and it was going great. Us three, it was Fighter and the Kids with a Z. Things happened on that tour where I felt like, okay, Brendan Schaub is a UFC fighter, champion, right? He was a fighter. He's trying to be doing stand-up. I'm a fighter, and I'm doing stand-up, right? So it's like when you have similar paths, and then you're the headliner, but your jokes don't match the guy that is above you, of course, jealousy comes. So it was kind of like a little friction here and there. So one day, he said, Malik, I need you to sign the NDA. I said, why? We've been working this whole time. He was like, bro, everybody signs the NDA who I work with. Theo Von, Bryan Callen, everybody signs the NDA. I said, well, why? We've been working for 7 months. Why do I need to sign the NDA? He said, if you don't sign the NDA, you just can't come back. I said, okay, cool. Well, this time, it was that Friday show. He had Chappelle go to my house, look for me, because nobody heard from me. I was like, man, I'm not signing an NDA. And then I was like, to the point where I was like, bro, let me just call him. I was like, bro, I'm not signing an NDA. He was like, fucking why? All the shit I did for you? I was like, Dad, what did you do for me? Say, yo, you pay. Bro, I give you $3,000 a month. I said, yeah, but you say you give Bryan Callen $15,000. I said, bro, I'm doing all the work. We're doing all the work. I was like, bro, that's like, I told him, I feel like I'm on a plantation. That's what I told him.
Damn.
Told him just like that. Told him just like that. All my discussions, all my beliefs, all my opinions are about the this time George Floyd movement. We can't talk about it because your audience is middle of America and you have two black guys. And we got to cancel that out. And his homie Chin, the advisor, the little Chin, whatever Chin, his guy, he was like, cancel that, cut that out, Chin. And I'm like, fuck, Chin and Cat. So they cut my episode out. He was like, people don't come to the podcast and listen for that. But you got two people on there that kind of like, that affects us. So you mean tell me I got to be on a podcast where I just got to sit there and play dumb, and I ain't feel like doing that shit. So he was like, all right, well, don't come back. I won't come back. I had my own podcast, Cutting Weight. So he took all my friends. They just stayed with Brendan Schaub. All the comedy shows I had around here, L.A., blackballed.
Damn, they blackballed you?
Every show I couldn't. He'd have Brendan Schaub and friends at the Hollywood Improv. I would go up at the Hollywood Improv. Next thing you know, I send my veils in, no, nothing. I'm like, damn, okay, well, cool. I used to go to the Laugh Factory. I used to go to the Ha Ha. The Ha Ha was the only club because he'd do Brendan Schaub and friends at the Ha Ha. And he was like, all right, I'm going to still book you. And then I had like my own headline date. My first headline date where I got with him in Austin, Texas. They canceled my show. I had to text, and my friend at the time, my co-host, Justin Elliott, he went with them. But he texted me. He was like, bro, you just did Bootleg Kev's podcast talking shit about him. Man, he said you gonna cancel all the shows. You keep playing around. I was like, well, shit. Why? For what? Because I'm telling my truth. Man, do you know all my shows got canceled?
Wow.
So I was like, fuck, I got to do something. And during the pandemic and the COVID, I started being fans of these people who was doing skits. I was like, man, you know what? I act and I'm a comedian. So maybe I should do that. Let me just do that. And I hated skits because they were corny. I was like, man, they making it corny and they over-exaggerate. Let's just put some real shit that dudes do all the time in there. Let's just find a lane for cool black guys, or cool dudes. And that's what I did. I found a lane and I started doing skits. And I always tell people, that's how I get started. Just do it. You'll find your audience will tell you what you look like or who you feel like you are online and what do they come for, what do they come to you for? And that's for like, hey, when they come, hey, I know he gonna do a skit about such and such, about a girl or whatever. Sometimes I do it like I throw a random skit out there when I'm in a character, or a spiritual guy or the military, but.
It's Malik B. Great guy, never met him. So Malik exposes Schaub and Callen. So at the time, Callen was making 15 grand. So obviously Schaub bumped him up to 25 grand a month to come back. Malik B was making 3 grand and Schaub wanted him to sign an NDA. Malik, you probably should have just signed that NDA. However, though, Brendan Schaub got him blackballed. Now, I 100% believe this because remember when Schaub and Callen called Bobby Lee and threatened him, what did they say? We're going to get Joe Rogan. So it's not that Brendan Schaub himself has the pull to get people blacklisted, but he kind of does because I told you, he throws around Joe Rogan's name, especially behind the scenes, all the time. And he even got Malik's gig in Austin canceled because Schaub calls people and goes, hey, I'm Joe Rogan's best friend. Don't have him on or I'll tell Joe Rogan. And people behind the scenes believe that. Look, Schaub, as broke as he's going, still gets little like sponsored deals and crap, all because he throws around Joe Rogan's name. That gearhead's gone wild. Let me assure you, Tubi only took that because Schaub promised them, oh no, B, trust me, Joe Rogan's going to come on next season. We're going to look at all his cars. That's all Schaub has is Joe Rogan's name, and he uses it. Not just to blacklist people. I've told you people, I guarantee you Schaub like tries to get reservations at restaurants and goes, do you know who Joe Rogan is? I'm his best friend. We know from the baseball dads who came out after Schaub moved from California. All he did was talk about how he knows Joe Rogan. So Malik B got blackballed by Bappa, but that also just goes into the piece of shit Brendan Schaub is. Why you can never feel bad for him. That don't ever look at what Brendan Schaub does on camera. As bad as that is, and sometimes feel bad for him because behind the scenes is when Bappa lets loose. Behind the scenes is when Bappa does his real work and trying to shut down Malik B. I mean, come on. I mean, let's keep it real. Malik B isn't even really that funny. I mean, you're messing with a dude who was never really going to make it anyway. I mean, Big Sean took his girlfriend, for Christ's sakes. But aside from that, of course Schaub tried to blackball him. Of course he did. And making him sign the NDA thing, Malik probably should have just signed that, but I don't know, Schaub blacklisting people, it's just typical Bappa. But let me know your thoughts in the comments.